Hello friends, good morning to all of you. In continuation of my lectures on biochemistry for pharmacy students, we have been discussing about metabolism of individual amino acids and their biological significance. Okay, so here we'll discuss in this session in detail about a very important section of amino acids which carry sulfur. So here we have two amino acids. One is cysteine, the other one is methionine. So these are the two amino acids, very important amino acids, which play a crucial role in several biochemical pathways. And glutathione is a tripeptide where you will find cysteine. It has some biochemical role, is the biologically very important role is there. So that's why I also included glutathione for our discussion. Methionine is this one. Okay, so sulfur containing amino acid but SCH3. Okay, thioether bond will be there. It's an essential amino acid and it is glucosenic. You will see in the actual catabolism it forms succinyl coenzyme A. Succinyl coenzyme A is the input for gluconeogenesis via formation of oxaloacetate. Important role of methionine in our biochemistry is as a methyl donor, because in our biochemistry in several biochemical reactions you will find methylation. Okay, methylations, both functional groups like OH is converted to OCH3 or NH2 is converted to NHCH3. So this type of biochemical reactions happen with the assistance from SAM. Okay, it is almost like activated methyl that is present in SAM will be transferred to all these functional groups. Okay, so this is the way. Now let's see. So methionine first gets activated by taking up one ATP to become S-adenosyl methionine. We call it as S-adenosyl methionine or SAM. So here you can clearly see that methyl group is present on sulfur and the sulfur is now bearing the positive charge. So in this way methyl group is now partially bearing the positive charge and it is now a very active functional group. Now by removing methyl group you can relieve high energy situation over here. So in that way methyl group is now is in a very active situation and it can participate in biochemical reactions. So when it reacts with a substrate in the presence of a methyl transferase enzyme, so in the presence of methyl transferase enzymes, the SAM will donate methyl group over there and then it will become S-adenosyl homocysteine. Okay, so this is it. Then it gets hydrolyzed so that the adenosine unit will be eliminated and now here you have homocysteine. This homocysteine has two routes to go. In one of the route methionine is regenerated by accepting methyl group from folate. Okay, so this is what we have seen in the last class. THF, when it is connected to methyl group, tetrahydrofolate, okay, H4 tetrahydrofolate is loaded with methyl group. This methyl group will be transferred to this so that methionine can be biosynthesized. Okay, the methionine will continue. This homocysteine can also participate in other biochemical reactions which results in formation of propionyl CoA and succinyl CoA. That we will see in the next slide. So friends, I hope you understood the significance of S-adenosyl methionine in methylation reactions. S-adenosyl methionine structure is this one. So here this is the adenosine unit. We have here this is the adenosine unit, adenine, ribosyl, and then that is connected to sulfur. Okay. Now SAM is a methyl donor, I told you already. So here are the examples. So I'll just briefly explain you a couple of things. In the metabolism of serine, I have shown you formation of ethanolamine. So ethanolamine, the nitrogen over here gets methylated 3 times so that it will become ammonium ion. Okay, it will become a ammonium ion. So this unit is what we call it as choline. Okay, so this choline can undergo acetylation so that acetyl choline is synthesized, a neurotransmitter is synthesized. In the same way, if you see over here, what is this compound? I will draw the structure and you have to tell me the name. NH2, and here you have OH and OH. Okay, so this is the compound. When this is converted to 1, 2, 3 NH, CH3, OH, OH and OH. So this is noradrenaline and this is adrenaline. Okay, noradrenaline and adrenaline. Adrenaline is synthesized from noradrenaline via N-methylase enzyme. Okay, methyl transferase enzyme. So here NH2 gets methylated so that NHCH3 is formed. So here in this reaction, SAM is going to help us in achieving methylation. Okay, so in that way, methylation of noradrenaline to adrenaline and synthesis of choline from ethanolamine can also be done in this way. Okay, so friends, this is the way how S-adenosylmethionine participates in several biochemical reactions. So one more example here is this. I would like to tell you the catecholamines. So these are what we call them as catecholamines. Okay, because benzene containing 1,2-dihydroxy. Okay, so this is what we call it as catechol, and it is an amine. So catecholamines or adrenaline and noradrenaline are examples. So in the metabolism of adrenaline and noradrenaline, the catecholic hydroxy group gets converted to OCH3. Okay, so this methylation reaction on this hydroxy group also happens with the help of S-adenosylmethionine. So friends, this is the way how S-adenosylmethionine plays a major role in the biosynthesis as well as metabolism of several critical biochemicals in our body. Catabolism of methionine. So now let's see how actually methionine gets degraded in our body. A comprehensive look. So let's have a comprehensive look on that. Methionine. So up to this one we know. Okay, methionine becomes S-adenosylmethionine, and then that upon degradation it gives us homocysteine. This homocysteine reacts with serine to give us a new compound, that is cystathionin. So okay, cystathionin. So this cystathionin gets hydrolyzed to give us homoserine and cysteine. See here, this is homocysteine. So the sulfur over here got transferred to the serine. So thereby we got cysteine as well as homoserine. Now the homoserine part over here gets oxidative deamination happens on this and as well as the removal of OH group, so that 2-oxobutyrate is formed. Okay, here 2-3 steps will be there. Okay, 2-3 steps will be there, so that oxobutyrate, 2-ketobutyrate is formed. The 2-ketobutyrate then becomes propionyl coenzyme A. The propionyl coenzyme A takes up one carbon dioxide to give us methyl malonyl coenzyme A. This methyl malonyl coenzyme A then rearranges to give us this COH group from over here. It moves over here, so thereby it gives us succinyl coenzyme A. This succinyl coenzyme A will become fumarate, it will become malate, and then it will become oxaloacetate. That will be used for gluconeogenesis. Okay, will be used for gluconeogenesis. Demethylation of homocysteine and transsulfuration of serine to homoserine and cysteine are two critical steps in catabolism of methionine. And finally, the conversion of 2-ketobutyrate to propionyl-CoA and succinyl-CoA culminates the entire pathway. The succinyl coenzyme A will be submitted for gluconeogenesis. Okay friends, I hope you understood the catabolism process for methionine. Now, one important observation over here is this is homocysteine. It's an important intermediate metabolite. Okay, in metabolism of methionine, it is readily transformed, either remethylated to methionine or it will become decomposed to homoserine. Okay, so and this homoserine will become the propionyl-CoA as well as succinyl-CoA later on. Then it enters into gluconeogenesis. If those metabolism mechanisms are not sufficient and the concentration of homocysteine in biological fluid increases, like homocysteine, because methylation is not possible, let's say vitamin B deficiency is there, then what will happen? Homocysteine cannot be converted to methionine. Then homocysteine has to be metabolized by other mechanisms. If these mechanisms, because clearance, if it is not possible, then what will happen? The homocysteine in biological fluid increases, and that leads to quite often injury of epithelial cells. Okay, injury of the endothelial cells by homocysteine because of high concentration. So it initiates a cascade of events including release of reactive oxygen species and lipoperoxidation. So this is what we call it as oxidative damage, and further it decreases vitality of the blood platelets, hence it may cause severe damage to your system. At present, so this is one very important observation you have to note down. At present, high concentration of homocysteine in blood plasma is one of the risk factor for atherosclerosis. Okay, because in case of cardiovascular diseases, especially atherosclerosis, they found that homocysteine concentration in blood plasma increases. So it can be considered as a blood marker, disease biomarker for atherosclerosis. Yeah, so it is one of the risk factor. Now let's see the cysteine. So in case of cysteine, so here the sulfhydryl group that we have over here, it's a non-essential amino acid because it can be synthesized from serine and methionine. Because as you have seen, homocysteine reacts with the serine, and then after hydrolysis, homocysteine becomes homoserine, and serine will become cysteine. It is a glucogenic amino acid. It yields pyruvate, and sulfur is removed as thiocyanate or sulfhydryl or otherwise sulfite. Cysteine can oxidize to give us cysteine sulfate. Okay, SH group gets oxidized, and then the nitrogen is eliminated via regular transamination reaction. Okay, 2-ketoglutarate gets converted to glutamine. So that is the same sequence is used over here, same mechanism is used to obtain 3-sulfinyl pyruvate. Now the sulfinyl group is eliminated as sulfite. Sulfite will be oxidized to sulfate, and then sulfate will be utilized for further biochemical reactions or eliminated. Now we have got here pyruvate. The pyruvate will be submitted for gluconeogenesis. Here, oxidation of sulfur from S2 to S4 to S6, sulfinate to sulfite to sulfate, is a proton producing process. So non-volatile acids are formed from non-ionized groups. Sulfate means sulfuric acid is being formed. Okay, so that is the meaning of it. The catabolism of sulfur-containing amino acids slightly acidifies the body. So here we have one more alternate pathway is there for catabolism of cysteine. Cysteine can be converted to 3-sulfonyl pyruvate by simply deamination of the cysteine directly. Then desulfuration happens where SH minus is eliminated. Sulfhydryl group is removed. So this hydrogen sulfide ion is mostly oxidized to sulfite, or if cyanide ion is available, Cn minus is available in the present in the plasma, like in case of smoking or those working in stressful conditions, then hydrogen sulfide reacts with this and then gives us thiocyanate ion. Sulfite anion is oxidized to sulfate anion, which is either excreted into urine, so it is done approximately 20 to 30 millimoles per day, or utilized for phase 2 biochemical reactions, metabolic reactions, okay, sulfation after activation. So this is the way. Sulfite in mitochondrial sulfite oxidase enzyme will be there, that will convert it to sulfate, and that will either be excreted or it will be activated as PAPs, that you will see the structure in the next slide. So this acts as a sulfite carrier. So this is PAPs, 3-phosphoadenosyl 5-phosphosulfate. So here the bond that we have over here is, this part is sulfuric acid, this is phosphoric acid, okay, in simple terms. So we have an anhydride bond over here, so that's the reason why this group is actually an activated species. This is a mixed anhydride. So this active sulfate helps as sulfate donor. Okay, so whenever and wherever sulfation has to happen, sulfate has to be done. So this PAPs helps us. For example, so here sulfation in phase 2 biochemical reactions. So in case of phase 2 biotransformation reactions of phenols, so we have on a benzene ring, we have a hydroxy group. So hydroxy group can be transformed to OSO3H, okay, so that it enhances polarity. Okay, polarity will increase significantly. Along with this, several other compounds like glycosaminoglycans, glycoproteins, etc. can be synthesized. So here catecholamine, neutralizing catecholamines, as well as biotransformation of phenols, as well as steroidal hormones can be done with the sulfation reaction. Okay, so let's say in case of steroidal hormones, when in here you will have OH group. Okay, like in case of estradiol, so the A ring contains hydroxy group. Now this will be converted to OSO3H. Okay, so this is the way. This is the way how sulfate group transport happens with the help of 3-phosphoadenosyl 5-phosphosulfate or PAPs, which is formed from the metabolites obtained from cysteine. Utilization of methionine and cysteine. So methionine, okay, so get itself converted to homoserine and serine to cysteine. Now methionine gets activated to S-adenosyl methionine, which will participate in methylation reactions. Okay. Now homoserine can be converted to succinyl coenzyme A, which will enter into gluconeogenesis. Cysteine, okay, can be converted to cysteine. Let me draw the structures for cysteine and cysteine. Here we have COOH and NH2, and here we have SH. So this is cysteine. So here this is cysteine. We have here NH2, COOH, and then like this, okay, NH2, COOH. So this is a dimer. This is a dimer. This is a dimer, and this is the monomer. Okay. Cysteine, upon decarboxylation, it will be converted to 2-amino ethane thiol. 2-amino ethane thiol is actually the handle that we have for coenzyme A. In case of coenzyme A, we represent coenzyme A as SH. Okay, acetyl. Let's say acetyl coenzyme A SH. So this SH is actually, so you have this type of handle. Okay, so here you will have the actual coenzyme. So this is the handle to which acetyl group are esterified over here. So in this way, 2-amino ethane thiol or cysteamine is the constituent of coenzyme A. And then cysteine is amino acid which is utilized for the biosynthesis of glutathione, a tripeptide unit, alpha glutamyl cystinyl glycine. Okay, means glutamic acid, cysteine and glycine are used for the biosynthesis of glutathione. And glutathione is converted to mercapturic acid or N-acetyl S-aryl cysteines. Cysteine can be converted to 3-cysteine sulfinate, which upon decarboxylation can be converted to a very important molecule, that is taurine. Okay, so you have already seen this one, taurine, in bile acids. Okay, so bile acids, bile acid formation, you know, glycocolate and tarocolate. So that tarocolate contains taurine plus cholic acid. Okay. Now the 3-cysteine sulfinate gets converted after desulfuration. It will become pyruvic acid. Okay friends, this is the way how methionine and cysteine metabolism is related to each other, and this is the way how they participate in some of the critical biochemical events that are happening in our body. Okay. So the sulfate at the end, whatever we have over here, that enters in, that is integrated into PAPs. Through PAPs, sulfation happens. Sulfation of esters of sulfate esters of sugars and phenols are synthesized with the PAPs. So friends, let's see the third and very important sulfur containing biochemical in our system, that is glutathione. Glutathione is actually a tripeptide containing glutamic acid, cysteine and glycine. Its structure is this one. Usually glutathione is referred to as one reduced form and oxidized form. The only difference is, in case of reduced form, you will have a sulfhydryl group. So two such glutathiones reacts with each other to form this disulfide linkage over here. So this is what we call it as oxidized form of glutathione. So here in this biochemical reaction, it releases 1 mole of hydrogen. Okay. Glutathione is a very effective agent for removing oxidative stress. It reduces peroxides like lipid peroxides as well as hydrogen peroxide in the reaction catalyzed by the protein glutathione peroxidase. It's a selenoprotein. Selenoprotein means what? It's a metal protein. Means the glutathione peroxidase, selenium ion will be there. Okay, and this is an antioxidant by itself. That's the reason why non-enzymatically also it can help us recover hemoglobin from methemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobin is useful form, methemoglobin is not a useful form, and it can also convert disulfide links to thiols. Okay, now let's see a few reactions. So this is what. So this is a peroxide radical. So if you have a peroxide radical, then it reacts with 2 moles of glutathione. So one of the hydrogen is picked up by the species, so that hydroxy group is formed. The other hydrogen is picked up by the peroxide radical, and then 1 mole of water is formed. Let's say here we have simple H2O2, 2 moles of GSH. If you take these two, then it would become GSSG plus 2 moles of water will form. Okay, so this is the way. It's a very effective antioxidant agent and peroxide scavenger. And then here in breaking open the disulfide linkages, we use an enzyme, we call it as glutathione reductase is the enzyme, and energy from NADPH is also utilized over here to cut open the disulfide linkages to release sulfhydryl groups. Conjugation to lipophilic compounds or detoxification of reactive electrophiles. Sometimes what happens is glutathione sacrifices itself by reacting with lipophilic compounds with a view to detoxify, okay, the reactive electrophiles. If the same kind of peroxy radicals, if they are present on some of the lipophilic molecules, then glutathione will go and react with that to provide us that's what we call the detoxify the situation. Then one more very important biochemical role for glutathione is transport of amino acids into cells with concomitant attachment of gamma glutamyl unit. Okay, so this is what we call it as group translocation or gamma glutamyl cycle. Now let's see that one. One second. I hope I made myself clear so far. So the role of glutathione is basically it's an antioxidant molecule, and it can help us in scavenging peroxy radicals. So thereby it also helps us as a detoxifying agent. Now let's see how it can transport the amino acids. So friends, let's see in brief about the role of glutathione as a transporter molecule. So in this, glutathione actually first is converted to cysteine glycine, and then amino acids are loaded onto glutamic acid. If you see the structure of glutamic acid, NH2 COOH, and then you will have here COOH, okay, alpha, beta, gamma, carboxylic acid present on gamma. So this carboxylic acid will react with the corresponding amino acid. Amide bond will be formed, okay, the R. These two groups will react with each other so that it will form gamma glutamyl amino acid. This gamma glutamyl amino acid will be transported into the cell. Thereby gamma glutamyl amino acid will then breaks down to give us the amino acid. It will release the amino acid, forming 5-oxoproline. What is 5-oxoproline? So this is nothing but 5-oxoproline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5-oxoproline. Then it gets hydrolyzed over here to give us glutamate. Then in a sequence of events, glutamate then added onto cysteine, and then glycine will be added so that glutathione is regenerated. So this regenerated glutathione is sent outside, transported outside. So this is the way how gamma glutamyl cycle helps us in the transport of amino acids into various cells. Okay friends, so this is the way how glutathione help us in achieving so many biochemical reactions. So in this lecture session, to summarize, what we have learnt here in today's lecture, sulfur containing amino acids like cysteine or methionine are very important amino acids. Here methionine is an essential amino acid, whereas Cysteine is a non-essential amino acid. Both are glucosenic, and ultimately gives us succinyl CoA, okay, succinyl CoA, which enters into gluconeogenesis, okay. And these sulfur containing amino acids get metabolized to give us sulfates. These sulfates help in conjugation reactions, means phase 2 metabolic reactions, especially on hydroxy group containing compounds. Further, these in these amino acids, especially methionine becomes S-adenosyl methionine, which play crucial role in methylation reactions, especially in the biosynthesis of choline, etc. Okay, in several reactions you will find the role of S-adenosyl methionine. We will see all these biochemical reactions in the coming lectures. Okay friends, we are at the end of the lecture. I hope you understood the biochemistry and significance of sulfur containing amino acid metabolism. So we will continue this discussion in the next class. So I thank you for your time and patient listening. I request you to please share this video with your friends so that they also can get benefited out of it. And I will meet you with another very interesting lecture soon. Thank you.